fine.
Yeah. So that the others who are not able to join us today, we can then.
That's all right.
Yeah, we can then bring up to speed with what's happened at a later date. So thanks for coming. This is the first in a series of webinar programs. I'm going to talk about. Dom. If there's any other topics that you'd like any more information on, let us know, because we can add to what we're doing. I'm going to mention also etiquette for those who've not been on Zoom before. For those of you who have, please just forgive me while I'll just bring everybody up to speed. Normally, etiquette is we'll keep everybody on mute except the presenter. And for those of you who are new to it, if you click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen, you will see a little panel that comes up, and partway across that panel there is a little hand that it says raise hand, and what we typically do is say, if you want to ask a question, because if everybody comes in at once, and if you get bigger meetings than this, everybody's trying to talk over each other. So if you put your hand up, I can then bring you in and sort of manage it as chairman for everybody to bring their points up. So can I just ask people to raise their hand, and so that they've seen where we are? Has everybody seen where raising hand is? Yeah. Oh, Dunk's got that. Jamie's got it. Yeah. Neil, have you got your raised hand? Yeah, you've got that. Andy and Amanda. Amanda, can you find it? I've unmuted you so that you can tell us.
I found reactions, so I can do.
Yeah, so in that participants there should be a raise hand. Yeah, Andy's put his hand up. Yeah, you got that. So we all know how, so first time I did this, I just talked about people raising their hand, and then I realised when I'm looking at the screen and somebody stood there like sat there like that with their hand up. I said, no, you do it on the little button down there. So if you've got anything you want to bring up, just bring it up on and I'll bring you in. So if you lower your hand, then I know we're all back to scratch again. The other thing as well is the chat, which I see Andy's picked up on already. So if there's anything you might not want to raise your hand and come in and tell other people, but if you want me to raise it, then put it in chat, or any points you want to make, just put it in chat. Screens I've got set up so that I've got all the participants. I can see when you got your hand up, I can see when anybody's mentioned anything in chat, and I can see what slides I've got coming up. So all being well, we should be able to proceed. So Jamie, Neil, if you want to put your hands down, Andy, if you want to put your hands down, unless you've got something that you want to say at this point. Yeah, Andy. So if you lower it right, great. We're ready to roll. So thanks for that. For this afternoon, what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk a bit about my kind of CV, what I've done, and our history, which just then gives you kind of context of why we're doing what we're doing. Then we'll go through program overview, because it's a series of 10 webinars, and they're split into a series of themes. So we've got survive, revive, and part of that revive, we're going to go through a strategic process, which I'm going to go through today. And then the final parts will be, once you've got past the revive stage, we're looking at thriving. There's a roundup at the end, and if you've got to the end and you've got any burning questions that you haven't asked as we've gone along, then there's an opportunity at the end. As I say, if you've got any other themes or any other topics that you'd like any information on that we're not going to cover as part of the 10, then put them on chat or let us know. We can always look at incorporating them. So my potted CV, I had a career actually doing things before I went into consultancy. I was an engineer with David Brown Gears and then GC Traction, which were large corporations. But then from kind of late 20s, I then moved into SMEs and started working with small to medium-sized businesses as operations manager, general manager. And then I did my MBA at Sheffield University Management School, and I managed to get a distinction on my MBA because I wrote up what I did when I was general manager at Edward Pryor in Sheffield, which is an SME. I was director and general manager of the machinery division with 80 odd employees in there. And 20 odd years ago, we had a 1.9 million turnover when I joined them. When I left them, we got a 3.5 million turnover. That was 4 years later. So and my bit was part of a 10 million turnover business. I was just one of the divisions. I then moved on to another 10 million turnover business, which was the best or worst thing I ever did in Huddersfield. I'm director of this engineering division of a SME there, but part of a group. And Andy's coming back in, so I'll just admit Andy again. So I took over as director of this 10 million turnover business, but only it wanted a 10 million turnover business. That's better. We've got Andy visible now. So, and as I moved in, on the first day, I sat with my MD and with my FD, and said, "Have we got a copy of the business plan?" And what Tim said was, what's a business plan? What is it? I said, well, it's what we're going to do going forward, how we're going to operate, what we're going to do for business. And he says, oh, I've got you a set of budgets. I said, set of budgets, not quite the same thing, but we'll start there. So on budgets, top left-hand corner, front page, £10 million. So how did we get to £10 million? He says, well, we did 9.3 million turnover last year, and we thought that if we just did a bit better this year, we'd get to 10. So I says, oh, it's as simple as that, and all we've got to do is just do a bit better than what we did last year. That's it then, simple, job done. What do we need to do better? How are we going to do it? And it soon became apparent to me that the people who've been there for years, they all knew the business really well, but they didn't really know why they were doing the business. It also appeared to me after a very short period of time that I'll not say what the company was, but it were just basically a £10 million turn or a 9.3 million turnover corner shop. There's no systems and no nothing. So then when I was talking to me sales director, and I said, 10 million turnover, Keith, where's them £10 million worth of orders going to come from? He says, well, we don't know because they haven't ordered them yet. So I says, yeah, but you must have a pipeline. You must have, you must have orders that you're working on and inquiries out, and they're going to come in. Yeah, but we don't know which ones. And we were selling pieces of kit that were typically £250,000 and upwards. The typical system might have been 400,000. So you don't actually need that many to get to a 10 million turnover. My sales director couldn't tell me, which ones were going to come in the next 12 months. So that's where I was starting from. So I took them away for a long weekend, and we went to Walton Hall, and we did a potted MBA in a weekend. So that when we came back on the Monday, I'm not saying they understood everything that we'd done on the weekend, but at least we got a common vocabulary. And when we talked about a marketing mix or a price matrix or a sales funnel or something like that, at least they'd heard the terms before. And so we put together a bottom-up business plan, and we used the process that I'm going to go through with you later on in this session. And what we came up with was we weren't a 10 million turnover business. If we changed what we did, we could actually be an 8 million turnover business. But 10 million, because of the changes in the outside environment, we're just a pipe dream. There was no way we were going to get to 10 million. So what we finished up doing, we had to restructure the business, and then it's one of the reasons why I went into consultancy, because the group that owned us wanted to sell it, two of the other directors wanted to buy it. I didn't want to go in with something that was at best static, and so 22 years ago, rather than going in with a management buyout for a business, I had a word with my missus and said Sheffield University were offering me this consultancy work. I'm going to, could give it a go for 6 months, and if it weren't working after 6 months, I'd get Yorkshire Post and look for a proper job. And that was 22 years since, and rest is history. So yeah, I helped them downsize the business, left on good terms, and went to do some consultancy and built up from there. The sad ending to that is that they went into administration middle of last year as a 5 million turnover business. So 22 years ago, I could see the writing were on the wall. It was just going to be death by 1,000 cuts because of the products that they made and the environment that they were in. So that's just got an effect on my pension pot. But apart from that, there are a lot of other people that suffered on that. So 20 years ago, started doing some consultancy through Sheffield University. And then I moved to a company called PDA, again freelance, became a mass diagnostician, so manufacturing advisory service. One of the kind of front line for mass, going out, seeing companies, and leaving them with a one-page action plan of things that they could do to improve the business. I left PDA and established my own business in 2008, which, if you remember, it's going to be that I want to bring it up again later on. 2008 was the last crisis that we had as a country, the financial collapse. And everybody said, "Oh, weren't that a bad time to set up your own business?" And 2008, everything's crashing. And you're there just start a new business. Actually, because we were helping businesses to improve what they do and help them survive at that time, it was actually a good time. And because of the success that we had, that's one of the reasons why we got off the ground and got moving. So I worked with Manufacturing Advisory Service and Sheffield University, which AMRC part of it, which we still work with. Then as we grew, Enterprise in Barnsley Growth Accelerator, and then expanded Mass Northwest Manufacturing Institute, Leeds let, Calderdale and Kirklees. And then when Mass got killed and it went to Leps, we grew up the Sheffield City Region Growth Hub, Skills Bank, Dearne Valley College. We work with Manufacturing Technology Centre, who are based down in Midlands, and also Huddersfield University. So we work with a lot of manufacturing agencies in the region. So that's a bit about my background and the sort of credentials that we've got to help people to improve. I want to start off with what's people's attitudes. Do people see it as their glasses half empty or glasses half full at the moment? And what I want to say is, if you go on your participants button, if you look where it says more, there's 3 dots, and if you go on there, there's a number of symbols there. There's a thumbs down, there's a thumbs up, there's also a clap, which you can do at the end if you want, and there's also a little coffee cup, and if you want a break for a cup of coffee, just let me know, just put that up. But if your glass half full, give me a thumbs up, and if your glass half empty, give me thumbs down. So Amanda, your thumbs up. Duncan, your thumbs up. Neil, thumbs up. Yeah. Jamie, your thumbs down. I want to unmute you, Jamie, and tell me why you thumbs down at the moment. So just a minute, I'll unmute. There you go.
I don't get to thumbs up.
I'm not sure, Mike, to be honest. I've always thought I'm glass half empty. That's
Yeah. So, I mean, there's two ways of looking at things. There's opportunities and there's things that might be wrong. So, I'm going to try and convince you that there's lots of opportunities out there and things that you can go for. Because I really do think that, there's two ways of looking at things. There's opportunities or threats. And it is something that is a particular view that whether you see thing opportunity or threat, and it depends on your perspective. Other guys, anybody else want to come in there? Just stick your hand up and say, why you think it's you're a glass half full person, and why you think your glass is half full. Anybody want to put their hand up? Right, Amanda, why is your glass half full?
I think at the beginning of all this, I probably would have been a glass half empty because revenue had just completely disappeared, and then not being able to access the right help in the beginning. Getting over that initial shock. I also have a part-time business, which is a design business. Now, we've used the opportunity, my husband and myself, to grow that. So we've got that in a position that when we're back running, as well as Amanda's blinds, I'll be able to run the other company as well. So part-time. So I've had a lot of income and interest coming in through sewing. So that's been a good opportunity. And for the blinds business, we're lucky because all the installs that we had before the lockdown, we've been in touch with customers, keeping them informed, and they're happy. So we know that we've got work to go back to. And the sales leads that we've had are just incredible. It's going to take us quite a while to fulfill the sales leads as well. So yeah, definitely awful at the moment.
Right. One of the things from our point of view, luckily for us, a lot of our work all of our work, in fact, that we had on, we hadn't had anything cancelled, but it's all been kicked down the road. So, people say, yeah, we'll pick it up again, but, it's going to be June, July, whatever, we'll pick it up. In the meantime, we've had to learn technology like Zoom and things like that so that we can deliver our stuff remotely. And then, go to the Skills Bank and, get something like this fixed up so that they'll provide the funding for us to do sessions like this. And it's been a learning curve for us, but I'm hoping that when we do get back, it's something that, because if the existing business is going to be there anyway, this is going to be something that we, kind of graft on to what we've been doing anyway. So, in 12 months' time, we'll be doing what we would have been doing, plus more stuff like this. So there's opportunities for like us as well. So, is it an opportunity or a threat? A lot of it's mindset, try and treat things as opportunity. And there's going to be a new normal after this crisis is over. It's an opportunity to change your business model. It's changing our business model, and I think there'll be opportunities for everybody. It's actually a good time to invest. If you look at the stock market, the stock market is down, and now is a good time to actually to buy things, because everybody's saying that eventually, and if you look at historical performance, prices are going to come up. So it's a good time at the moment to actually grow and take out the opposition, as long as you've got these kind of stability to be able to do that. So I'm not suggesting overstretching, but looking and getting a proper plan in place if that's something that you can do, so that you know, growing, taking out the opposition. There might be other things, I want to talk about them later on in the webinar as well. But it's a good time to actually do it. Don't think that it's a you know, bad time and we just need to shrink and hold what we do. So we're seeing that there's basically 3 phases from you know, of the crisis. I picked this up back in 2008. And if you look at a graph of kind of control against awareness, and we've got low control, high control, so we're not in control of things, we are in control of things, and awareness, we don't know what to do, and we do know what to do. And if you plot a graph of kind of control against awareness, we start off, we're down here. So, or back in March, we were down here. We didn't have any control. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we're back in that area. So survival meant, you know, what we needed to do was actually get some awareness first. What do we need to do? So we moved from low control but low awareness, get low control but get some awareness of what we need to do. We're now at this kind of point now. So we're hopefully we've survived. We know what we need to do going forward, or we should be, you know, putting together something that we know what to do going forward. We can then get back into control and revive our business. And then from that point, actually, it's a bit counterintuitive, but if we've got high awareness of what we need to do and we've got control, thriving actually means dropping the awareness bit, because that means we're actually doing it unconsciously. So we don't even have to think about what we're doing because it's ingrained in the way we do our business. So the 3 phases are survive, revive, and then thrive. So what I'm going to go through first is survive, and I'm going to talk about revive and then on to thrive. So, as I said earlier on, 2008 financial crash, I was one of the mass frontline diagnosticians. You were a poor man's John Harvey Jones, going in doing a one-day analysis with a business owners who built a business up typically from scratch. They might have had 20 years on their business, got it to a certain stage, and I'd go in a day, tell them what they could do better. You know, you can imagine how that went, can't you? So it's kind of, and you know the definition of a Yorkshireman. You know, you can always tell a Yorkshireman, but you can't tell him much. So I'm going in to see these guys and spend a day with them, and hopefully leave them at the end of the day with a 1-page action plan of things that they could do to improve. And there were the things they could get grants from Manufacturing Advisory Service to help improve the business. So in 2008, I was going in to see companies that were, you know, many of them were just out on their feet, didn't know which way to turn. One which particularly sticks in my mind were a family-owned fabrication business, and Dad were MD, Mum were company secretary, daughter worked in office, son-in-law were production manager, but really it was just a glorified fabricator. And because Dad did everything, and so, and then they've got about 11 guys on the shop floor, and the call came into Manufacturing Advisory Service. They'd got to pay a VAT bill. They had 3 bad debts, no money, couldn't pay the VAT. What could they do? And somebody thought, yeah, that's a good one for Brook here. We'll let Brookie go in and sort them out. So I went in to see this company and have a day with them and see what we could do. And first thing I did, I sat down with the MD and the company secretary, his missus, in a room. There were two people who owned the business, and they started telling me the problems. They got three big companies who they worked for, and all three had gone belly up and left them with bad debts. So the no cash coming in. Got a big VAT bill to pay. What could they do? So I said, and one of his ideas was, should I employ a salesman? And I said, no, you don't need. You've no work, but you can't afford to be taking on a salesman. You, as business owner, you're the one who needs to go out and bring the work in. And he was kind of, well, what about me, who's going to look after the shop? Well, I thought your son-in-law were factory manager. He just spends all his time on tools. It's a title that he's got. So he needs to man up. He needs to be the one who's actually looking after the shop floor while you are out getting the business. Nobody can bring business in like the business principal. If they're the ones who are going out talking to the customers, they're the ones who can make the promises, they're the ones who can come back in and make it happen. So the first thing was when I was talking to these two guys, and I said, do you factor your invoices? And he said, oh yeah, we factor his invoices. So, or we already factor his invoices. So I said, right, that should be good then, because these invoices will be insured. You should be able to get something back through them. He said, oh no, the factoring company won't insure them. So we just, and I made the mistake of saying, well, didn't that tell you something? And before I said it, his wife actually then jumped in and said, I told him not to do it. I told him not to do that work. And guy was saying, yeah, but if we hadn't have done it, we wouldn't have had the work for the men to do. And I says, yeah, but now you've done it, you bought material, you paid the men, and you've still not got paid, and you've still not got not any work for them to do. So I started off being a bit of a marriage guidance counsellor there, keeping them together and from pulling each other apart. And then started looking at what we could do for the business. And what I finished up doing, and mass funded it all. They wanted somebody to work with them who was experienced, dispassionate, but got empathy for what we did. And what we had to do were, I had to tell him, so that you get out, who's the customers that are still left. You need to get out. You need to communicate with them. You need to be bringing the work in. We need to be, looking at what prices. We need to make sure we get the work, but we can't afford to do it too cheap. And then we looked at what the work that we could get, what skills they needed, and we finished up actually getting rid of 5 of them on the shop floor. So out of 15, we cut back to 10. The MD was out bringing the work in. And literally, we had to be dispassionate about it. And it was easy for me. I don't say that lightly, but it was easy because I didn't know the guys, and I could just look at it as a kind of, we've got a skills matrix. We've got these guys, these skills. This is what we need in the business going forward. So we need those skills. We need to be able to work those machines. We need so much of it. So, these are guys we need. They're the ones that we're going to have to let go. And that's what they did. And I looked at it as, it weren't a case of losing 5 jobs. It was actually a case of saving 10. So we saved 10 jobs there, because otherwise, the whole company had gone. And that business is still there, still working, still operating, still work with us. I'll not say who they are, but they needed somebody at that point who could give them that. And we're at a similar kind of point, and it just helps them through the crisis. And those same skills are what we're going to need to use at this point. So at the moment, or let's say back in March, April, cash is king. We need some quick wins, generate cash. So we need to get it in, we need to look at government grants, benefits, debtors, can you give any discounts for prompt payment, make sure you get the money in. Overdraft loans, either bank or government backed, and stopping unnecessary payments and outgoings. So negotiate, defer payments, tax, rent, loan repayments. And one of the things that we're looking at doing later on this programme is a cash flow forecasting module, so that we can look at forecasting the cash, and so you've got a better control over what you've got. Because if you do all that, generate whatever cash you can and stop whatever you can going out of the business, you establish a bit of a war chest. So you've got something there that's going to help you to fight and get through what we've got on at the moment. I think we all have this about furloughing employees, so non-essential staff with no work for them, but they can do training while they're on furlough. You can claim 80% of the wages, but they can't do anything, so they are actually sat at home on 80, or you can claim 80% of their wages. You can actually top it up if you want, but consider if you've got other people who are still working and then they're getting the same pay, whereas you've got furloughed staff with no travelling expenses, etc. But you do need to treat people equally at this stage, and what you'll find is that actions now will build or destroy that loyalty, and the opposite side of that is you'll really find out at this point who your loyal staff are. People's attitudes towards the business, you'll find out who's loyal to you. So with cash is king is one of the modules that we're going to talk about. We're going to go into that in more detail. The other one is communications. A lot of people, some clients who we've been dealing with, some people have gone into a shell. It's like we don't know what we're doing. We're pulling back. We're furloughing staff. I'm being furloughed myself, whatever, and they're just not talking. But I've always found that actually times like this, the more communication you do, the better. So, and people you're talking to, stakeholders, employees, customers, suppliers, talk to your landlord, bank, any others, and let them know that, what you're doing. The thing about it is, you want to be putting that positive message out and building good personal relationships, building empathy with them, so that, they know that you're going to be there and you're going to be working forwards. You need to be looking after your top repeat profitable customers. We'll be looking at that in Stuart's sales module later on. How do you identify who your top repeat profitable customers are? Some people who you think might spend a lot of money with you, but how much does it cost you to service them? But you've got to be looking at whether they are going to be viable in the long term. Are they going to survive? But retaining as many customers as you can is key. The other thing is, there is the opportunity to pick up new customers where possible, but I'll be a bit of a cautionary tale there. Beware their long-term stability issues. You've got to ask yourself, in the middle of a crisis, why are they changing supplier? Is it because their existing supplier ain't going to deal with them because they've not paid them or something like that, and then you're going to finish up with the same issues down the line? What you're going to have to do is learn new skills and disciplines going forward, and then carry them on after the crisis. So, like we're doing with this Zoom, we've had to learn quickly. We've taken on Zoom Pro, so we can host things like this, and I can see us, we're going to carry on doing this kind of thing after the crisis. So the new skills and disciplines, working at home, I say it's going to be a new model when you get back into after the crisis, there's going to be a whole new range of skills that we're going to have to look at. So hopefully that's been in the past, things that we've had to do. We're now looking at what we need to do to revive our businesses. The module this Thursday is Revive, Return to Work Safely. So we've got Sarah and Kat on Thursday about the various things that you need to do to actually re-engage. We started working with one guy. Actually, we worked with him a few years ago, and came back to us because his employees didn't want to work. They were worried about coming in. He got one or two who I think were quite happy to sit at home on 80%, and rather than actually coming to work and get 100. But he'd got contracts he needed to get out. He was doing things with glass industry contracts. They're still working. They're a 24/7 process, and he was servicing them, and so he needed to get this done. So what we did, Sarah and myself, we all remotely, we looked at how he worked, the processes that he needed to put in place, and while we couldn't keep people 2 meters apart, we could actually put some barriers in place that actually allowed him to do his work, or allowed his men to do the work without coming in contact with each other. We bounced that off the HSE. They were more than happy with what we'd done, and his guys were, I think he contacted us on the Wednesday, and his guys were back at work from the Friday. So he were really pleased with what we did. But the advice is work from home if you can. Use separation if you so you keep people 2 meters apart. If you can't keep people 2 meters apart, then you use barriers. And if you can't use barriers, then you are down to PPE as a last resort. What Sarah's going to talk about is your legal duties, what the HSE approach has been, practicalities, first aid regulation, what controls you can put in place, elements of hygiene and things that you can do, and of course how you control things from a health and safety point of view with people home working. We've also got Kat on Thursday, and she's going to be talking about communicating practicalities of from an HR point of view of people working from home, consultation, and what things are going to be like in post-COVID times. So that's the webinar on Thursday this week that we've got Kat and Sarah on. So what we've been doing with all these, and again this is the first one, if you've got any questions, either submit them beforehand to us, so that just send them in. I need to ask this question, or ask them as we're going along. Any specifics. So if you're going into any situations, might be you're going in to fit blinds in somebody's house at home, Amanda, or Jamie, you're going into a company to fix computers. Somebody's got the keyboard there, and how do you know that they haven't got coronavirus all over the keyboard that you're using to mend the computer? So all these sort of things. I'm not the expert on that. We've got Sarah and Kat, who are the health and safety HR experts, who will be able to give you the advice on Thursday. But they're the sorts of things that they'll be talking through. Coming on to my bit of the program now. So if we're going to revive, we need a bit of a strategy on how we're going to do it. And like I say, in the short term, we're looking at generating cash. I'll be honest, at this point, profit's a bonus. So if you're generating cash and breaking even around about that, you'll be happy with that. If you're making a profit, then you're doing well at the moment. So, but keep generating cash. I've seen lots of businesses that might be making profit, but if they're not generating cash, they finish up going belly up. Even not making a profit, as long as you're generating cash, you can stay in business for quite some time. But once you've got that baseline that you know you're going to be secure going forward, establish a new vision and mission. What's your long-term aim? It's an opportunity to reevaluate what you want out of life. What do you want to do? What's your business going forward? So we use a process. Start off with that vision and mission. You know, so who's the business principles? What are you trying to achieve? Is it that, you know, you're trying to build a business, take it on the stock market and sell it on the stock market and make a big pile? Is it that you actually want to get a lifestyle business that's going to generate you some income and then you retire? Or you want to put something in place that you might have a management team or a family or whatever that take over your business from you, that either generates a pension pot or a lump sum later on in life or whatever. So, yeah, what's your vision and mission? What are you trying to do? And that then, you know, the next stage is understanding the current state. So look at where you are at the moment. So where we are now. And I want to go through things, and I'm going to set the scene now because we're going to pick this up in 2 weeks' time and pull this together so we can pull a plan together for each one of your businesses if you want through this program. The first thing you do is do an external appraisal. So look at what the external environment's like, and we use a tool called Porter, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Next thing is you can do an internal appraisal and using a tool called McKinsey, and again I'm going to talk about that. Don't get hung up on it because I'm just going to ask some questions or give you the questions to ask, and then the answers to those questions drop into a strategy. So once you've done your internal appraisal, that's going to give you your strengths and weaknesses. And then if you do a gap analysis from what the external environment's like and your vision and mission and what you're trying to do, that'll then give you some opportunities and threats. From those opportunities and threats, you can develop some strategic alternatives, give you some potential options, and you then need to evaluate these options and choose which one you go for. That presupposes you've got some criteria in your vision and mission. So it might well be, you know, we're going to sell blinds all over Sheffield City region. We're going to make them locally, or we're going to buy them from China because they're cheaper from China or whatever. But them criteria are in your vision and mission. I'm not saying one's any more valid than the other. But you're going to evaluate and choose which one you want to go for is going to be your criteria. And then at the end of that, you can agree some objectives. Even if you agree them with yourself, it's kind of what are the objectives? This is it. This is what we're trying to achieve. But then you need to make it happen. So it drops down into operational planning and implementation, and then functional and individual plans. So who needs to do what, when, how do we know whether it's on track or not? Because you've then gone from the why we're actually doing it, so your vision and mission is why, your evaluation and coming to your agreed objectives is how we're going to do it, and the functional bit and individual plans is what do we need to do to make it happen. Because if you don't do these things at the bottom, you're not going to achieve that at the top. Might be why you're doing it, but if you don't work out who's going to do what, when, and how, then you're not going to get there. So that's the basic process. First thing we start with is why. Why are we doing it? So ask some basic questions. Who are the stakeholders in your business? I don't just mean shareholders. Who's the stakeholders? So, I mean, your employees are a stakeholder. BBIC's a stakeholder. You know, if you're an employee, if you're a tenant at BBIC, You know, the bank's a stakeholder, bigger stakes than others in different businesses. And think about not just what you want, but what are they trying to achieve as well. But how does that fit in, and does it complementary to where you want to go, or does it in some way kind of conflict with where you want to go? Look at risk and reward. So, you know, what's your attitude towards risk and reward? You know, you get some people who, yeah, we've got some cash. You know, we'll put it all on the, you know, second favourite and the 310 at Kempton Park. You know, there's other people, now I've got some cash, I'll put it under the bed because it's going to be safe there. So what's your attitude towards risk and reward? You know, what are the money issues? Is it available? Is it not available? And what are the restrictions? So we might have the, you know, the biggest plan in the world, and it means a greenfield factory starting and all building, but there's no way we're going to be able to afford it. So we've got the restrictions. So we work within the resources that we've got. But at the end of the day, you can then come up with what is a realistic vision for your business. You know, why are you doing it? What's the vision? Second phase then is look at where we are now. What's your current position? Turnover. You know, what's the nature and range of your products or services? The markets that you're in, end use, geographic. What routes to market do you use? So how do you get new customers? The customers that you've got. Who are the good ones? Who are the bad ones? Who do you make the most margin of? Who takes the biggest amount of servicing? What's the competition like? You know, so if you're fixing computers, supplying IT services, who else is, you know, in your particular area? And what sort of things do they do? What are they good at? What are they bad at? How can you capitalise on it? Who are your suppliers? And what considerations do we have to look at them? And at the end of it, what profit do we make at the moment? What profit do we need to make going forward? Then we've got other things like what process and operations do we carry out, or should we carry out? Are there more that we can do? The technology that we've got, is it scalable? If we've got bigger mixing tanks or whatever, we've got a chemical company that we're working with, they're just increasing their scale of manufacture by a factor of 100 to make sanitizer. So it's a brand new sanitizing product, and I wrote a case for them to get some capital equipment. They're not based in Sheffield City region, but the sanitizer that they've developed, I came up with a phrase that if domestos kills 99% of household germs, then this stuff kills 99% of what's left, because they've just got something that it's been certified as being effective against all coronaviruses, not just COVID, but SARS and all the rest of it. And they're actually going into manufacture. It'll be sent around the country, distributed in 100 milliliter bottles, super concentrated, and then you dilute it 40 to 1. You know, so if you get 100 milliliter bottle, it'll actually make 4 litres of sanitizer, and it's effective for 7 days on surfaces and things like that. So, but they need a fair amount of technology to actually scale up from the production quantities that they've been making of this stuff to where they want to be. What facilities have you got? What's the location? Systems that are in place, people skills, leadership capabilities, etc. So look at where we are now. As I said, we use these tools: McKinsey, Porter, we'll do a SWOT analysis, and Pestel. I was going to talk through them now. Anybody come across Porter in the past? Does anybody stick their hand up if they've used it before or come across it or know what it is? No, right. What it is then? I'll give you a quick rundown. We've got a competitive situation here. So we talk about competitive rivalry. So that's how many competitors have you got? What difference are there between the competitors? Is it quality, other differences? How much does it cost to switch between one to the other? How loyal are the customers? We've also got threat of new entry. So is there any new competitors going to come along? So what's the time and cost of entry to the market? Do you need any specialist knowledge? Are there any economies of scale that you need to be a certain size to get those economies of scale to get into the market? Could anybody have any cost advantages? Any technological protection that you've got? Any barriers to entry? We also look at supplier power. So how many suppliers have you got? What size are they? How unique are suppliers? Can you just change suppliers and go to a new supplier? You know, if you buy computers from Dell, Jamie, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, you're right, oh, we're going to start using HP products. You know, does it matter? Although they're quite big, can you switch your supplier? So can you substitute, and is there any cost in changing? But by the same token, look at your buyers. So how many customers have you got? What's the size of each order? So, you know, do you sell a small number of orders, but each one's big? Or do you sell a large number of orders, but they're quite small? So what's the difference between your competitors? How price sensitive are your customers? So if you were charging 100 quid and somebody came in with 95, would they automatically switch to the £95 person? And what's the ability of your customers to substitute you and their cost of changing? So, and then the final thing we'll look at is threat of substitution. If you were a cathode ray television set manufacturer, all of a sudden, you know, LCD screens come out. What happens to your cathode ray television manufacturer? They've got to be moving with the times. So, looking at that threat of substitution. So, what we do, we ask the questions on each one of those 5 forces. So, what's the chance of somebody coming in? How much power has the suppliers got? How much power have the buyers got? Is there any threat of new technology coming along? How do we all compete, all the people who do the same job as us? Gather the information, look at what we've got, and we're going to come on to analysis in 5 minutes, and then we can formulate some potential strategies based on those conclusions. That gives us our external view, but we also want to know where we are internally, and we use this thing called McKinsey 7S, and there's 7 things, all beginning with S, including the title. And you look at the structure of your business, the systems that you've got, style, staff that you've got, the skills, what strategy you're using, and what's the shared values, what's the thing that kind of intangible almost that binds everybody together within the business. So we've looked at the external side, we look at these internal factors, and then we can plot it on I typically use a SWOT analysis. So what are strengths, what are weaknesses, typically come from your internal factors, and the external will give you your opportunities and threats. One thing I will say there is a bit of caution, because again, it's from whose perspective. What one person sees as an opportunity, somebody else who might have a glass half empty might see that same factor as a threat. But you know, it's getting that perspective on it and looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the opportunities that you've got then, or even the ways you mitigate the threats, I'll then start looking at the actions that you need to put in place. And the factors that can affect your plans, you know, political ones, economic, social, technical, legal and environmental. So there's lots of factors that can affect your plans, and look at each one of them. So, you know, political, Brexit, you know, the B word. How is Brexit going to affect your plans? May well be that, you know, it's not going to have any effect at all. Economic, we've just had this this latest pandemic. Is that going to, you know, reduce people's power of spending for the next 12 months? How are you going to affect that? Social, people might be working more at home now. So does that mean, you know, any difference in the way they're working? You know, might people, Amanda, you know, who are working at home might be more tempted to put some blinds up at their office window. You know, I've got blinds up at mine. Technical side, you know, computers, are computers changing, moving forward? Legal, you know, from your side of things, Neil, particularly on the you know, the marketing and that. GDPR, is that having an effect on you? And then environmental. So things like, come back to the chemical company, their product, besides killing COVID germs, it's actually smaller to ship around the country, uses less plastic for packaging. It also less fuel to ship it around, and because it lasts longer, there's less waste left in the bottle as well, as it's got a 6-month shelf life, whereas competition say they've got to anything that's diluted, it's got to be thrown away at the same night. So there's environmental benefits to that company of the product that they've developed. So we come up with our thoughts on what we're doing going forward. We're then going to look at how we're going to do it. What are the things that you need to do that are going to make a difference? Favoured options, what are our agreed goals and key actions? All we've been doing that, you know, we've gone through the base, you know, where we are now, and put it through your Porter, McKinsey, SWOT, Pestel models. And what drops out at the opposite end then is your strategic approach. So if everybody can see this on the screen, we start typically down here in the bottom right hand corner. You know, what are your revenue streams? How do you see your business? So what value are your customers really willing to pay for? What do they pay at the moment? And what's your revenue model? And what are your pricing tactics? We'll look at the customer segments that we're in. Who are we creating that value, and who are the most important customers? What relationships do we have with those customers, and what channels do we use to get them? What's our value proposition? What value are we going to deliver to the customer? Which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? And what bundle of products and services are we offering to each segment? Which customer needs are we satisfying? And what is the minimum viable product? We then come more into an internal. What activities are key? What do we need to do to fulfill those orders that we're getting? What are our key resources, and who are our key partners? And from that, we'll establish our cost structure. And that's the basis of putting your business plan together. I'm going through it quickly today, but well, I'm going to spend more time on this on about the 5th module that we're doing, and hopefully then I'll be working with everybody individually to put their own you know, business plan together on what they need to do going forward. So that's covered the strategy formulation process so far. Anybody got any questions or any any points on that? Anybody happy, or any thoughts? Agree with it? Disagree with it? Does everybody want to just take the thumbs down and put them back up again, either upwards or downwards? That it's something that is a useful or not useful to them. So so give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's pretty, yeah. So hopefully, yeah, you can see in that I think everybody's thumbs up on that. So I'm glad about that, because that's the way we put things together. So that gets us a strategy of what we're going to do going forward. But the next stage is looking at what we have to do differently to get there. We're dropping down to, you know, this bit at the bottom, putting that functional operational plan in place. What do we have to do differently to get there? What needs doing? Who's responsible? What resources we're going to need? What timescales? How are we going to monitor progress? How do we measure how well we're doing? And what remedial action needs to be taken if things are going off track? That's the thing where I find most business plans fail, because we've all got these ideas. Yeah, that's where we want to get to, but nobody says, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, and then checks up as we're going along, as we're implementing it, that is it actually happening? Are we on track? Have you done your bit? You know, my bit's like this, I'm having a problem on this. And it's that implementation side that most business plans fail on. And that's why we use this next tool, which we've called a strategic compass. It's a title, or it's a technique that we've unashamedly stolen from Growth Accelerator. We all worked on the government's Growth Accelerator program a number of years ago, and this was a technique that he used on there. The Growth Accelerator program isn't there anymore. It was killed along with maths a few years ago, but we still do our business planning this way. And it sounds a bit like Remington. We like the technique so much that we use it ourselves, but we do our business planning this way, and we do it with our clients. I'll show you quickly how it works. So you've got a series of concentric circles. So this is the center. We've got then this is the middle ring, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 rings outside. So this is your initial starting position. So 2019-20 is in the middle. This is you're going to build up into a contents down the side. We've then got across these concentric rings radials, which consist of your key issues. And key issues are different for every business I've ever worked with. We typically start off with turnover at 1 o'clock and finish up with profit at 11 o'clock. I'm generally working a clockwise way, and the things that go on between turnover and profit, like how you generate it and how you spend the cost, typically different. There's a lot of generic stuff that's the same, but each time you do this, it's different for every company. So start off with turnover, and then we'll look at all the things, all the issues that then reduce turnover and just leave us hopefully with some profit. So the outside ring is where we want to get to in 3 years' time. So 2022, 23, sorry, 2022, 23 is on the outside 3 years' time, and that's where we want to get to. The next ring back in is plus 2 years, and the next ring is plus 1 year. So we'll look at our 3-year plan. So that's our vision where we want to get to in 3 years' time. So if we're going to be there in 3 years, we need to be there in 2 years, there in 1 year, because this is where we are now. And any actions that we need to take, we put them on where we need to take them, on the appropriate radial, around about the appropriate time. any intermediate targets that we've got, so end of year 1, end of year 2, this is where we're going to get to. So if we've got to achieve that turnover at the end of 3rd year, we probably need that turnover at the end of year 2, and so we need that one at the end of year 1. So it just builds up like that, and we identify then the vital few things that we need to do. So as well as doing all the basic day-to-day business, these are the things that we need to do differently, because if we keep doing the same things as we're just doing, we're just going to keep on getting the same result. So the vital few things are the things that you need to do differently, and then from that we can assign who's going to do what when, and we can then put an implementation plan working with our employees. We don't have to do everything ourselves, so who's going to do what to make sure we get there. And that gives us what we call an opportunity to reset the business. Things that we're doing now, if we look at process mapping and knowledge capture, how do we do things at the moment? Because what we want to do as things build back up, we don't just want to keep doing them in the same way as we've always done them. But if we look at how we do things at the moment, capture the knowledge, and then put some lean principles in place, standardised work, balance the line as we're building the work back up, it's then going to leave us with a more efficient and a more effective business going forward. Main thing I'll say is start with voice of the customer. What is the customer actually looking for from your organisation? What do your customers really want from you? And what you'll find is they want you to be flexible, so you're going to need agility. And what you find is that you get that by pulling things through the organisation. And again, we're going to talk more in a later module about what pull is rather than push. But basically, works orders and chucking stuff in at the front end of a process is a push system. Starting at the end and then is literally what it says it is, pulling it out of your organisation, controlling it from the end rather than from the beginning. And that gives you the best results and the best customer focused results. Working on things like smaller batch sizes, which means that larger batch sizes typically because of larger setup times. So you look at techniques like setup time reduction, working in U-shaped cells to put things together, and improving your productivity and throughput and value added per person per hour. And that comes back to getting that done, comes back to us, comes back to the leaders. We're the ones who've got to set the tone. I find, cutting your cloth accordingly. And I think, the guys who I'm talking to here are pretty much I know you all personally, and you wouldn't make the kind of mistakes that I've seen other clients actually make. Everybody's going through a hard time, but because I've had my car 3 years, I'm going to get my new Land Rover next week. And people then see you driving about in your new Land Rover, and they're on 80% furlough wages. So, cut your cloth accordingly, set the tone. Think about what you're taking out of the business at these times, because we're still coming back to that war chest, making sure that you've got the foundations to build on going forward. Make sure your company's got a good stable base to build on. You won't believe the number of companies I've seen where the principals still taking out the as much dividends as they can at the moment, and and then wondering why they haven't got the capital then to invest and build the business back up again. The thing called gearing ratio, which again will be talked about on the financial side, which is the ratio of your own resources towards your borrowing, and high gearing when you're very profitable is a good thing, but at the moment where you've got to you're covering interest payments. I know interest is low at the moment, but lower gearing ratios tend to be more stable. because otherwise, if you've got high gearing, you've got to pay those interest payments come what may. If you're not making profits to cover them, then that's depleting your resources. So get some solid foundations in place. That's what we're saying at the moment, and reinforce that with your leadership. Be visible, be calm, be strong, be decisive, and this is a stage where identify your loyal and like-minded employees to take forward and develop in your new setup. You'll see over this period of time, who has got that loyalty to your business, and they're the ones who you can reward going forward. One of the things that we do need to look at, Stuart's going to be covering leadership later on in the programme, but setting smart objectives, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound, so that when you're asking anybody to do something, they've got a smart objective and you can literally measure on what they've done. But that also has another effect, that it means you need the management information in place. There's no point setting a smart objective if you haven't got the management information in place to measure it. So look at the management information to actually back up your smart objectives. Stuart's going to be covering that as part of his leadership work with everybody. And then we're going to come on to post-COVID HR. So we're talking about people, we're talking about motivating them, making them responsible, accountable, going forward against the plan that we've put in place. I've not got the précis from Kat yet, but Kat's running another module later on about the contracts of employment and job descriptions and consultation and handbooks and things like that. So post-COVID HR is something that Kat's going to be picking up. Stuart's also going to be picking up towards the end of the programme about putting a proactive sales strategy in place. So planning your sales growth, profiling targeted accounts, executing account strategies, getting feedback, continuously improving performance and driving that accountability. And what we're looking at there is building revenue and margin, and that's what Stuart's telling people is the basis of proactive selling. So at that point, we're going to be looking at building on Revive and moving up to Thrive. And in Thrive, this is where we're looking at evaluating and improving what we do, but doing it unconsciously. It's not something we want to be consciously thinking about. The good companies do it without thinking about it, because they've got a continuous improvement culture in place. They've done things like 5S, but they've done it properly. A little tale there. Anybody knows what 5S is? It's a workplace organisation tool, and it's sorting through, setting locations, shining the workplace, sort, set, shine, standardise, and then the last one is sustain. And you find loads of companies, they'll go through all these sorting and setting and shining and standardising, but then it's been a flavour of the month. And I have one client who, when we're talking about him, whether he'd done 5S, he says, 5S, he says, I've done 20S. And I looked at him, like, what do you mean? He says, I've not done 5S, he says, we've done 4S 5 times. So they've gone through 4 times the sorting, setting, shining, standardising, but they've not sustained it, so they keep having to do it. So when you get into Thrive, and it just becomes part of the culture, that sustaining the workplace organisation, the way you do things, you just do it unconsciously as part of your continuous improvement. And that is when we start looking at world-class performance. And even in service organisations, on time in full is a term that's used to measure performance, typically in manufacturing businesses, but you can do the same on service. Operating equipment effectiveness. Again, measure how effective you are utilising your resources. You can do the same on a service point of view as well. Sales and operations planning. How well are your sales operations people being used? How much of the time are they adding value to your operation, and how much of the work is not adding value? They're all terms that have come out of the manufacturing environment, but they're equally as valid in a sales or a service view. And then there's a thing called Carnot diagrams, which are there's a term of features that you offer to your customers, and there's basics and delighters, and it's making sure that you include all the basics so that your customers would expect. I'm not going to go into it in detail now, it's going to be covered later on, and how you look at the delighters, because if you don't do the basics you'll lose customers, but it's putting in the delighters which are the ones which get you new customers. So how to do the basics and delighters going forward. And a lot of what we do is working with teams in that sort of environment, putting in place visual management so that it's automatic that you do things the right way, because it's just visually that way, that is what you do. And Japanese term called poka-yoke, which means making it idiot proof, so that again you can't do it the wrong way. You put something in place to stop wrong things from happening, and you can, so it's how you might fill in a form, so that it's designed the right way so that you don't make mistakes on it. So we're looking at in thriving, we're looking at a longer term change. We're all going to change out of this crisis. We need to embrace that change and look at it as an opportunity to establish new ways of working. We might need to retrain employees going forward. We probably need to, I'll coin this frame, planning for a new paradigm, so a new model going forward, and what's our place in it. Things are going to change, and it's our opportunity to be different, opportunity to expand. There's going to be competitors, suppliers, customers. Some might be in difficulties. Some might just think, well, I've had enough, mate, I'm going to retire. And that's going to give us opportunities for horizontal or vertical integration. At the moment, there's grants and loans to improve businesses. There's grants for COVID innovations. I don't know whether there's any, so within the customer base or the clients that we've got on this webinar, but I've just been working on that for another client, the chemical guy, who, as I say, they've got this super duper concentrated COVID killing, environmentally friendly sanitizer that if they can scale up production, they can get £2.5 million worth of work, but they just ain't got the kit to do it. They're looking at a grant to scale up what they're doing. There are these grants about. We're talking to Dunk earlier on today. There are potential. We know that this product's going to be coming out of the growth hub within the next, say, 2, 3, possibly 4 weeks. Shouldn't be any longer than that. They're going to be there for helping businesses to improve their performance. And there's been certain things that people have been looking at: face masks, visors, and sanitizers. We had a look at there was a cosmetic company that we were. They introduced hand sanitizers. It's not the same one that we're dealing with on the super concentrated stuff, but people have looked at the opportunities. So getting towards the end of today's session, I'll just round up where we are. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or any points at the moment, but I'm just going to quickly round up what we've done. If anybody wants to come in, just put your hand up. We started off looking at this awareness and control 2x2 matrix. So, you know, we're starting off with survival, gaining that kind of awareness of what we need to do, and then revival, we're going to get back in control, and then once we get on to thrive, hopefully we're doing it all automatically and unconsciously. We've talked about cash is king, collect money in, defer what we can, reduce payments where we can, collect that war chest. Talked about communication, stakeholders, positive message, getting empathy, looking after your profitable customers, and keep communicating, keep doing it. We talked about strategy. I've gone through vision and mission, establishing what your current state is, external, internal environment, SWOT, getting to your vital few, getting to your what's, and putting a simple plan, measures and accountability. We've had an overview of return to work safely, so working from home, keeping separate, barriers in place and PPE. We talked about an opportunity to reset the business, so it's voice of the customer, looking at agility, flexibility, pull systems, productivity, lean operations, standard work and line balancing, leadership, setting the tone, stabilising the ship, setting the foundations, putting some smart objectives, and looking at post-COVID HR considerations and sales. So in Thrive, in the Thrive section, we looked at evaluating and improving unconsciously, and then looking at that, implementing that action plan, how we can put the smart objectives in place, and using it as an opportunity to develop businesses and individuals. I'll come back to that glass half full and half empty and say, you know, we should be looking at planning for that new paradigm. Have we changed your views at all, Jamie? Or hopefully we've not changed anybody else's views back the other way, but you know, hopefully we can get people, you know, thinking, planning for that new paradigm. And the way this program fits together, because this is just being an overview of what we're going to do. So on Thursday, we're doing the return to work safely, which is where we are now, ready to go back to work. So as people are looking to return, what PPE do they need to do? What actions do they need to employ? The next one is going to be communication. Stuart's going to do communication, and that's on the next Wednesday. So Stuart's going to go through the communication side. We're looking at cash is king and doing that cash flow forecasting end of next week. Bear in mind these webinars are Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at 1 o'clock. The only change is next week when it's Wednesday and Thursday rather than Tuesday and Thursday. So we've got return to work safely Tuesday, communication, return to work safely Thursday, communication next Wednesday, cash is king next Thursday. I want to come back in then on the Tuesday after. We do more work on putting the plan and strategy together, and hopefully working with each one of you guys. So each one of you will get more individual assistance going forward to help you put your plan and strategy together. Opportunity to reset the business then is the next one. So the sorts of techniques and things you can do to implement the first set of lean improvements in your business. Then we've got Stuart back on leadership, smart objectives, and getting your management information together. Kat on post-COVID HR as we're coming down towards implementation and thriving. Stuart's going to then do the penultimate session on sales, and then I'll have the last one again on evaluate and improve unconsciously, and how all the strategic stuff and the implementation fits together. So that's the program. We've had the first one today, and that's how the other 9 all fit together around survive, revive, and thrive. Help's available with more webinar programs planned. So if you've got any topic suggestions, anything we've not covered, or anything you'd like to see, either send it on chat or question and answer, or just let me know outside of this. We are available, me, Stuart, Kat, Sarah, who you'll meet over the course of this, and John Miller on the lean side. So we're all available for one-to-one chats on how you can implement the sorts of things in your businesses. We said, you know, we're quite happy to do 30-minute free video triage sessions, and you know, as you know, we're not going to get to 29 minutes 50 seconds and say that's it, you know, you've had your time, we're off. It's just to put some kind of sort of limit on it, but you know, if it takes longer, it takes longer. It's an opportunity to discuss your individual situations if you don't want to sort of discuss them in a group forum. And hopefully the experience that we've had from the previous crisis in 2008 is available to assist clients now. We've got links with Growth Hub, Skillsbank are providing the funding for these webinars. The Enterprise Barnsley and Barnsley Council, universities, Sheffield, Huddersfield, Leeds, and funding agencies. Consultancy, you know, HR, strategy, sales, finance, lean, health and safety. So any help that you need, again, is available through this program. So we're trying to finish in the kind of 90 minutes. You know, we'd said 2 hours or so. But I'll finish the kind of delivered part of what we've been discussing, and I'm going to throw it back to you guys now and say, you know, call to action. What are you guys going to do now? What has this webinar stimulated, and you know, where are you going? What's been the bits that you kind of take away and think, oh yeah, if I don't do anything else, that's something that I've got to do? Or I'll throw it back to you guys and say, what you're going to do as a result. Who wants to come in first? Neil, you've been quiet. Oh, go on there, Andy. I'll unmute you, Andy.
Yeah, hello everybody. I think I mean, last few weeks I've been taking an interest in some webinars and business seminars, and I think it's been good for us because it's reiterated that we're on the right path anyway. We've just finished our financial year in March, and we've had a fantastic year. We've seen growth since its inception in 2016, and we've got a business that we've built, and instead of throwing a party at the end of March for a success, this crisis has come along and it's made us take stock, and that has actually been a good thing. We constantly review our cash flow forecasts. You know, we have done for the last 2-3 years, and it's a godsend. And any my colleagues on this webinar, if you don't do a cash flow and you don't monitor it and you don't alter it and adjust it accordingly, then you're missing out. Because as well as having cloud-based accounts like Xero, which gives us data on a regular basis, and management accounts, the cash flow forecast sits alongside it, and it's enabled us to prosper. We've gone from turning over £600,000 at the end of March to in April just turning over £14,000. But on a positive, we made a profit because we've been diligent, you know. I can't emphasize enough how much we've made it important that we're on as debtors, and that's made a big difference. And like Mike said earlier, communication is vital, because if you communicate with your customers, it's easier to communicate with them regarding debts and money that they owe. So yeah, it's this time's proved worrying, but at the same time it's sort of giving you a chance to do a bit of housekeeping. And you know, it's picking out, for me, it'd be picking out things from this that I can use within our business model. We've got a simple business model. We do need bums on seats in offices because people are using our machines to print and copy. If they're not in offices and machines not being used, but it's a chance to do some spring cleaning, I think.
Well, anybody who knows me and knows us, you know, knows that, you know, we don't do rocket science. You know, we do, you know, simple, basic things that's good practice that, you know, I mean, just come with that, and you know, that you do that cash flow forecast. For me, it's one of them simple, basic building blocks that you put in place, because if you do it, you know, it can save your business. Something like this happens, you can then plan going forward. So I'd always recommend that that companies have one. You know, like all the things that we put in. I think the common sense. That's why, you know, we do what we do, and you know, we hopefully we can pass this on to our clients, and get them doing the basic good practice that most of them do. But there's always something like you said there, Andy. You know, even we see things that we think, oh yeah, I could do that. You know, and so we like to think that we know most things, but we still come across stuff that you know, we can do better, and that's what it's all about. So so yeah, I mean, thanks. That was a really good example. Thanks for that, Andy. But I mean, from this, you said there's some things that, you know, you take away. Well, the things that, you know, is anything that we've said today that you know, you don't do? You know, you said the cash flow that you do, but is there anything that you don't do that you kind of take away?
I think I've got to. I think I've got to look into a little bit. Not well. There's two of us that own the business, and I think at first it was a case of batten down the hatches and let's ride this through. And I think that's wrong. I think we've got to. There's opportunities within this situation. Yeah. And I mean, we've got a client base of nearly 300 individual businesses that we are supplying and servicing. Like you said in earlier, we don't actually know. I can't actually say that so and so and so and so are working and so and so and so and so on. You know, sometimes there are people in businesses that we deal with, and sometimes there aren't. And there's people working from home but then go into the business. We've got to carry on providing a service and service personnel to those businesses and organisations that are out there. But I think everybody's available to talk to in our customer base, and it's an opportunity to sell more to your existing customers.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a salesman. New business is harder and more costly to get than selling more into your existing business, yeah, which is more profitable.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at yourselves and look at what you do and look at what other value added things, I'll call them things. I mean, we've got value added services that we can supply to our existing customer base. We've been so busy putting machines in at new businesses that we've sort of not followed up on the value added sales.
Yeah.
And we're using this time to follow up, not intensely, but to follow up in a controlled way on the value added sales. So at the minute in our industry, multifunction machines, GDPR, data protection, we're going around supplying encryption and security on the multifunction machines, which we should have done, you know, on an ongoing basis. it's providing a little bit of revenue for us, and you know, it makes a difference. You know, it does bring some. It brings some added cash in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's one thing it has made us do, is look at ourselves and what can we do more of within our customer base.
Well, Stuart's going to be doing the communication, the leadership, and the sales modules as part of the program. So I know, you know, in the sales side, he's going into, you know, a lot of detail in terms of, you know, new products to existing customers and all that kind of stuff that Stuart's specialism. So so hopefully, you know, you'll enjoy that. Amanda, did you unmute yourself, and then we carry on talking, and so I'll bring you in there if you want.
Yeah. I think for me it's quite, I'm looking forward to Thursday's session, because I've just been writing the guidelines for our installers, the risk assessments that we need to go through with customers working in their homes. So I think that'll be a good sanity check to see if I've got that right. And also the other thing is about the long-term business strategy, because myself and Darren do have a vision that we want to build the business and then retire.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really good. And I think the opportunity as well to reset the business, and some of the things me and Darren again have been thinking about and doing some things differently. So yes, I think it's going to be really good. So I'm looking forward to the modules coming up.
Super. Thanks for that, Amanda. Neil, any comment?
Hey everybody. No, in general, I think it's, when I started out the business, I did a lot of the SWOT analysis and stuff, and to be honest with you, I've never looked at it again.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, just kind of say you get your head down doing what you do, and you forget a lot of things. So I think a lot of it I'm going to have to revisit.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I mean, between myself and Asia, who works for me, we have talked about implementing a few new ways of working and bringing in, you know, at the minute, like we use Asana to, you know, communicate a lot and things, but we're going to bring in Basecamp and to communicate with his clients a bit more that way.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it a little bit more fluid and stuff, rather than a lot of emails flying about and things, as well as Asana and stuff. So that's one process that we're going to bring in. But yeah, I think like it's weirdly not really changed how we work as such, you know, this lockdown thing and stuff, because we're digital a lot anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients, when I did, well, initially I did think that like to stop the spend, you know, like I think everybody did, but they've just carried on and spent more, which is not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of our people we work with have seen it as an opportunity, like you say, to reflect on things and, you know, put a bit more in.
Yeah.
I think if they can, rather than panicking and, you know, totally shutting down.
Yeah.
Which
it's the ones who are shutting down who are then gonna, you know,
struggle to keep back up again. Yeah.
Because
I think
they're
that's
hitting the ground running. You know, the companies that are on here, it's kind of, you're hitting the ground running, aren't you? You know,
yeah.
You're going to be ahead of the wave rather than behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke to a lot of other businesses, and like I said, they've gone into panic mode, and they're not doing anything. You know, like I said, they're totally everybody's furloughed and whatever else, and it's just like, well, you could be doing something. Surely you don't need to.
Yeah.
You know, as I look at it, but it's a mindset thing as well. I think with a lot of people, a lot of things.
And again, it's that investment from the kind of business principles and you know, principals, not pulls. So you know, what we do going forward, and you know, that we can you know, make sure we're visible and make sure we're taking people with us when we're looking at opportunities, and you know, you'll get people to follow you. because they are looking for that kind of positive leadership, and and even portraying that image outside the business. Because people then see you as being positive and going forward, etc., rather than shutting up shop and riding it out. But what you've got to do is develop that war chest to be able to do it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
You're going to have there's certain you're not going to have necessarily the same revenues coming in, so you've got to collect what's already out there and negotiate. There's nobody on from B because they're loyal, but negotiate. You kind of rent and things like that. Deferments, so that you haven't got the outcome. I mean, the HMRC I think have been good in terms of telling people you don't need to pay your NI and things like that. And,
VAT and things like that.
So we're still in our bank account, and it's there to help us going forward. And I recommend everybody else did the same, because that war chest is what you're going to need to make sure you come out fighting rather than struggling. And positive-minded businesses are going to use it for that.
Right thing rather than
So as I say, the program going forward, we've got I thought it was important. It's hard to sequence, but return to work safely has been the second one. Once we've got this overview done, so that even businesses that are then looking at going back next week and things like that, or even ones that have gone back this week, they can check that what they've done and what they're doing, and ones that are actually working all the way through. Well, no, Dunk's not visible, but they've been working all the way through, and he's been able to talk to his customers, and they've had work to do going to deal with construction industry, and they've been supplying their customers going forward. So what about yourself, James? Anything from what we've looked at that strikes a chord with yourself?
Definitely looking forward to Thursday one. I mean, I've got no end of customers that want us back in the business. Some are wanting to see stuff, my plans in terms of what I'm going to do for them in terms of safety, PP and wherever. There's other ones I've got that just want us to go in, they don't care, so we need to...
You need to be safe for yourself.
Exactly. We need a... We need a balance. But you've opened my eyes again, Mike, in terms of I started on that Genesis program in 2009 and did a lot of this SWOT analysis and set off with the right intentions, but it's all got shelved as we've got busy, and I haven't looked at it ever since. So you rejuvenated me.
It's an opportunity. This, like I say, it's an opportunity to go back to brass tacks and look at what you're in it for. Why did we start off doing all this? Why do we set as businesses up, and what are we trying to get out of it? And then make sure that the things that you're doing are contributing towards that, aiming towards the goal that you want from them, rather than what's happening.
Who is it on Thursday, Mike, that's doing the H&R, the health and safety thing? So I might just ping you an email actually with some statements from one of my customers. I won't name the customer, obviously, but they're just wanting us to go back in as normal. We're not worried about COVID. What the responses should be professionally to them would be good, I think.
Well, what I'd say, please send us questions in beforehand. Because I'll send them on to Sarah and Kat, because what we found, the reason why I put these together, we've actually run the webinar Thursday. We've run it twice before, for other cohorts, and it's not the health and safety and HR are kind of interlinked. So you might get an health and safety answer, and then there's a HR aspect to it as well. So we've got Kat, who's the HR specialist. Kat, Kat Derbyshire, and Sarah Dykes, who's our health and safety, and they've worked into a good double act. So giving the health and safety and HR aspects of the answers. So if anybody's got any questions, send them in, and then you know, we will definitely have that, you know, because it might well be that you send something in that, you know, Sarah might have to puzzle about or whatever, but if you send it in beforehand, we will definitely have answers for you at the webinar on Thursday.
Well.
Has anybody else got any issues they want to raise? I don't know, you know, if Duncan or Dom or anybody has got anything they want to raise, or any sort of final questions. Anybody's got anything they want to say? Well, you know, we're finishing just in time there. I hope everybody's well, A, enjoyed it, and B, found it useful today. And like I say, hope to see you on the rest of the webinars. If you've got any questions in the meantime, happy if you want to give me a ring. My number's on there, or my email address. Drop us an email. If you've got any questions for any of the webinars going forward, please submit them, and then we'll make sure we've got answers on the webinar. And if you need any kind of one-to-ones outside of it, again, just please ask, and we'll set up a Zoom one-to-one outside of this program. It's all covered within the what we do with Sheffield City Region Skills Bank. So with that, I'll thank you all for your participation today, and hope to see you all again on Thursday.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's all, guys. I'll see you Thursday.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.